the Detroit Pistons can become the next Cleveland Cavaliers with one trade. So, ever since the trade deadline, they are one of two teams that are undefeated, putting up some insane stats. Right here, as you can see, they are in top 5 in basically every important stat in the NBA, and they are, ironically, next to the Cleveland Cavaliers as the only team undefeated since the trade deadline. Now, this team gives me a lot of vibes from the Cleveland Cavaliers before the Donovan Mitchell trade. And ironically, they have former Cavalier head coach and JB Bickerstaff, who seems like he's really good at resurging teams that have a losing culture and implementing some sort of winning culture. The only problem with JB Bickerstaff is when it comes to actually contending for a championship, that's out of his depth. But contending for the playoffs, that's his bread and butter right there. So, the Pistons have been on fire. 7-game winning streak. It's been since 2014, 2015 since we've seen the Detroit Pistons, actually be this good and have that kind of winning streak. And right now they are the 6th seed, 32-26, which is, they are from the trenches right now. These guys used to be where the Hornets and Wizards were. Now they are with the Bucks and Pacers and Magic, teams that were in the playoffs last year. So the Pistons really took a huge step forward this season. But this team, realistically, I think at most they can get the 4th seed. At the moment of the season ended, I think the Knicks take care of them in 6. Obviously, I believe the Magic healthy are better than the Pistons. I think the Heat can give the Pistons a run for their money in a 7-game series. But then the day, I think the Pistons are in a really good position from where they were a couple years ago. And they look nice. But they're one trade away from becoming the Cleveland Cavaliers, which are the number 1 seed. Because the Cleveland Cavaliers were a first-round exit type team like the Pistons are right now before Donovan Mitchell, when it was only Garland, Mobley, and Jared Allen. First-round exits where they were at with JV Bickerstaff. But 2 things need to occur for this Detroit Pistons team to take a step forward. And one of them would be, I understand JB Bickerstaff's doing a great job right now, but soon, in a year or two, once there's actual pressure to get some success in the playoffs, I feel like it would be only right to get rid of JB Bickerstaff for an actual winning head coach, an actual, championship winning head coach, kind of like the Cleveland Cavaliers came in and got Kenny Atkinson and everything changed. They became a top team. They're literally the number 1 team right now. So JB Bickerstaff's great to implement a winning culture, implement a winning, habits. But when it comes to championship habits, championship winning coach, that is not him. So they're going to have to do a trade for number 2. And I got 3 trades here that the Pistons can do. Obviously, it's not only the players that would be traded. There would be definite trade compensation. And the first one that, the Pistons should look at is Devin Booker. You might be saying Devin Booker has 4 years left with the Phoenix Suns. He doesn't want to leave. But if Luka Doncic can get traded, so can Devin Booker. Considering that Luka had been eliminating the Suns, a multitude of years. Devin Booker's team right now is in no man's land. I cannot lie. They have put all their chips for right now, and they've mismanaged their trade assets in Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, all of these guys. They've mismanaged them, and they ended up with Bradley Beal, Nick Richards, Kevin Durant, who understand. It's honestly just KD and Booker right now, and they're a playing team in the West. So if I were the Phoenix Suns, you aren't going to be competing with Devin Booker. If I were them, I'd go out and trade him for a huge package of draft picks and players, and you're going to get 3-4 young good players, and you're going to get a ton of picks for him too. I would pull the trigger on this and rebuild and wait for a couple teams to fall off, like the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers possibly. These teams, could easily fall off due to their superstars getting up there in age, with Jimmy Butler, Curry being, mid-30s and upwards in the 30s, Draymond Green as well, LeBron James. All these guys eventually are going to be out of the league, And that's when the Phoenix Suns should be rebuilding until they're out of the league, and then they'll come back and resurge with a new roster. One guy in Devin Booker could absolutely restart your franchise. And for the Pistons, obviously, you would have a really great backcourt in Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker, and you still keep, Tobias Harris. You still have, Isaiah Stewart. You still got all these other guys, and I think the Pistons would absolutely take the next level and end up being a championship-type contender. And I could easily see them making this trade and switching spots with the New York Knicks and being a top 3 seed if they had Devin Booker this season instead of, all these other guys that would be involved in the trade. Now, another trade, I feel like this is the most unrealistic, but it'd probably be the number one trade that the Pistons probably prefer. But the number two trade, I think, is Trae Young. And these are three superstars, not superstars, but these are three stars that could be on the move because they are on teams that aren't really competing as they should be, with these kinds of players. And I think Trae Young's future at Atlanta, we're hearing reports of Atlanta being kind of tired of being a play-in team. And obviously, if you want to start losing a little bit more, you're going to have to trade Trae Young, who's your best player. And I feel like Trae Young would be a little bit cheaper considering there's reports of Atlanta shopping him. And I think the Pistons could be an ideal spot for him. Trae Young, Cade Cunningham, you'd have Thompson still. You'd have Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart. I think this would be a great trade in my opinion, getting Trae Young. And I feel like this would be the number two trade that the Pistons would kind of want, because I feel like Trae Young's a bit of one of those clutcher players, and he could be not only the guy with the ball in his hands with the 24 seconds on the clock when you're down by 1 or 2. He's also a great sharpshooter, a great facilitator. Cade Cunningham's stats would go even higher. I feel like this would just be a match made in heaven in a sense, because also this is this is a great defensive team, and the team that the Atlanta Hawks had when they made the conference championship was great defensively with a bunch of shooters. And the team that the Pistons would have if this trade went down, with obvious draft competition going as well, would be great defense and great shooters around Trae Young and Cunningham. So this would be a match made in heaven, and I could see the Pistons absolutely having a Atlanta Hawks type run in 2021. Now, the last one, I feel like if you couldn't get either one of these deals done, I feel like you would just go to Zion Williamson, who apparently is at his lowest weight in his NBA career. And he was probably the cheapest of them all, because obviously there's been a lot of controversy around Zion Williams' weight and his eating disorders, apparently. Stephen A. Smith going on First Take literally saying that, quote, from a chef in New Orleans looking for him, he would eat the table. So I feel like it'd be... the Pelicans kind of saying, this is supposed to be our franchise player. He had a lot of hype. He was the number 1 overall pick. He had a Wembanyama type hype. And he's, not really been on the court as much as they want to. So they probably get rid of him and look for a different number one option, which wouldn't be Zion Williamson. A little bit more reliable, which I would think would be another guy from Duke named Cooper Flagg, who definitely doesn't have any weight problems. But it would be probably the cheapest solution for the Pistons. Obviously, he would come I feel like he fits the culture in being one of those rough and gritty teams, because he gets most of his points in the paint, and he's not bad defensively. So I think Zion Williamson would fit the culture most out of the three, but you would prefer one of the other two players because they're more a player that the Pistons would want to bring in, which would be a clutch kind of guy, a guy who has the ball at the end of the game, which would be Booker, Trae Young. And Zion Williamson was more of a scorer, and Cade Cunningham would have to inherit more of a clutcher scorer in order to win games. When you need that jump shot, when you need that three to tie the game, Cade Cunningham would definitely have to be really the only choice, because Zion Williamson's game isn't really from the three-point line. But anyways, for the Pistons to become a championship contender, because as I could say, I am a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and I've seen the Cavs, resurge from 19 wins to play-in to first-round exit. I've seen it all with J.B. Bickerstaff as well, and I've been catching the Pistons games lately because, they are on a winning streak, and they're kind of shocking me because they used to be that easy win on the schedule. But this team has potential. They remind me a lot of the Cavs 2-3 years ago before the Mitchell trade, and I genuinely believe if they could come out and get one superstar, because they definitely have the assets, they could definitely end up contending. I genuinely think that. I think they could end up, because honestly, they could rival. I think they could rival the Pacers in the 7-game series. I think that goes all the way the distance, and they could possibly get through. I think the Bucks they contend with them, but I would obviously choose the Bucks if my life is on the line. But they can contend. They can upset these teams. Against the Cavs, against the Celtics, against the Knicks, I don't think they have a shot. But against everybody else, they would make a competitive series. But if they get a superstar, they could even rival the Cavs. They could rival the Celtics, the Knicks. They become the third best team in the conference if they were to get one of these 3 trades going. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Leave a comment down below what you think about the Pistons and which of the 3 trades would you most likely do if you were the Pistons. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.